ride of our lives from Norway to South Africa, and you're coming with us. Today we thought we'd give you an update on how our planning is going.
First up is our apartments. One down and one to go. We have sold Pia's apartments and mine is next. For a long time we thought about whether we should keep the apartments and rent them out while we're away or if we should sell them. And we decided to sell both of them. Because, well, on a trip like this, we don't want to be tied down with mortgages and bills and responsibilities at home like we have been for the past couple of years. We want to be free and not have to worry about late payments from any tenants or any issues that occur.
I bought my apartment when the market was at an all-time high. I'm expecting it to drop now, but let's see if my predictions come true. Selling everything will give us the freedom to do what we want whenever we want, without having to worry about paying the debt. Now, we might buy another place when we come home, but who knows?
I bought my place about 5 years ago, and it was like a dream come true. I had dreamt for years about owning my own place and finally being able to do what I wanted. But then I realized that I spent all my free time working. I worked to pay for a place to sleep, and then I slept there, and then I went back to work again. Didn't have a life. And so eventually I decided to just rent out the apartment through Airbnb and live in the woods for 2 summers. And so I stayed in a tent at different places in the forest around Trondheim for 2 summers. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Without any mortgages or bills to pay, all our money goes straight into our savings accounts.
We have to move out of my place by March and Kenneth's place by April, May. Then comes the big question, where do we live until November? Well, as Kenneth said, he's lived in the woods for months at a time before. So that's what we're gonna do.
I've gone through quite a big change in the way I view the world and what I think is important in the past few years. After realizing that I spent all my time working, I decided to zoom out a bit so I could get a bigger picture. I was too focused on the small but unimportant things, so I decided to buy an apartment so that I could have security for the future. But that security turned out to be kind of false. Financial security is one thing, but if it costs my life and freedom, it's not really worth it. And so when I decided to move out in the woods, I felt so much happier. I could fit all I needed on my bike, and if I couldn't fit it, I didn't really need it.
We both love camping, but I've never lived outside for that long before. But if we're to ride to Africa, we're gonna have to get used to it. Why not start here and build some good routines?
Another thing is our bikes and our knowledge of motorcycles. We know basically nothing about engines or bikes or anything, but we have a great relationship with Yamaha Store Trondheim, where Turi Geir has helped us quite a lot. He has showed us how to change tires, taught us about the anatomy of the bike and air filters. And when we get our new bikes in May, we're gonna have a proper look at them as well.
Simultaneously, I'm working on my riding skills. The long winter poses a great challenge, as any rider will get rusty after a long break. My own motorbike is still in the shop after, you know. For some reason, Kenneth still lets me borrow his bike, which I'm so grateful about. So I get to practice a little bit on the rough tracks here in winter. So far, my progress is so-and-so.
Yeah, I feel a little bit sorry for my motorcycle, but I guess it's better to practice on this one and fall over instead of the new ones. Although I guess you're gonna fall over a few times on the new bikes as well. But practice makes perfect. At least you get back up and try again, and that's the most important part.
Luckily, we don't have to drive in snow for the most time. Except the first week. We'll be starting our ride in the North Cape in November. I know, it's stupid. But we have to if we're to avoid the rain season in West Africa. From West Africa, we'll follow the west coast down to South Africa and the east coast back up to Cairo. We're still trying to figure out the visas and insurance for about 30 countries. We have to figure out which ones we have to apply for in advance and which ones we can get at the border.
We think we can get most of the visas at the border, but so far we think Nigeria and Mali seem to be the most difficult ones. Do any of you guys know how to get into these countries or have any tips or tricks? Let us know in the comments.
We're also going to need some proper insurance, both travel insurance and for the bike. The only problem so far is that not a lot of companies offer protection in these areas that we're traveling to. So far, we've only found 2 companies that will help us, Nomads and Goda. So now we're trying to decide between those 2. They both offer plans for just 1 year, so we'll have to think about a automatic renewal or something.
That is where we are right now. And in the next couple of months, we're going to spend most of our time packing up and moving out. Once that is done, we can focus on the trip planning itself. We are now in February and the days are finally getting a bit longer. A month ago, it got dark around 3 o'clock, but now it's light until about 5:30. So we have a few more hours of daylight to enjoy outside. But when the summer comes, we're going to spend most of our time outside riding our new bikes and getting used to them.
But wait, there's one more thing we're really excited about. Nothing is set in stone, so it might not happen, but I'm talking to a hospital down there and hopefully I'll be able to get temporary employment as a nurse. If that happens, we'll have to change plans for the second half of our trip. But in return, we'll have so many more experiences and I will get to see my profession from a whole other perspective.
That could be very interesting.
Yeah.
I really, really hope that happens.
Yeah. If you guys have any experiences of working as health personnel in African hospitals, I would love to hear about it. Please let me know in the comments.
So as you can see, we have quite a lot to do still, and our life is a bit chaotic at the moment. But when we get on our bikes at the North Cape, it will all be worth it. And if you want to follow our journey, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss our next video. And if you want to support us, you can go to ridethebean.com and get a bag of the bean, our very own coffee, or you can find the link to our Patreon in the description.
Thank you for watching. See you next time. Previously on Ride the Bean. Previously on Ride the Bean. Previously on Ride the Bean. Previously on Ride the Bean.